Hi, how are you? This is Dr. Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And we have an amazing guest and a mindful chat with Lori Aikman. She is a functional medicine nurse practitioner, dear to my heart because I love functional medicine. So I can't wait for you guys to chat with her. And she is going to be a soon mommy of two. And so that's, as a mom, it's a lot. We totally get it. So thank you so much for kind of coming on. And I really want you to talk more about what you're doing and helping people and helping yourself in that integrative and functional medicine space.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's good to
Yeah,
be here.
let's chat. Tell me a little fun fact as I kind of start out the show, just kind of make it of yourself that people may not know about you.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was actually writing some stuff out like this the other day just for my website. I guess, well, you mentioned, right? I'm about to be a mom of two. So I'm like
That's
eight
big
months
kudos. I'm
pregnant.
mom. We know. We know how it is. As
I'm
mom.
8 months pregnant right now. So, and I joke, I'm like I'm a geriatric pregnancy. So I'll be 38 when she's born. And so yeah, it's been fun. Just having, I waited a long time to have my kids and meet my
Same
husband
here.
really
Totally did.
too. So
Yeah, I did
yeah.
also.
Uh,
I can understand the feeling.
yeah, did that later. Like, I have friends that have, like, their kids are teenagers now, and then like we're in the baby stage of life, but
I can
everybody does it their own way.
I can completely agree with you. I
Uh-huh.
had to finish all this stuff. So let's get into kind of like where you're a nurse. So obviously you're in the conventional traditional medicine space like I was, and there was something that changed for you. Um,
Yes.
would you like to talk about your history and like kind of where that started for you
Yeah.
and then where did it pivot?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, it's funny if I actually think back to even when I was in was that undergrad? No. So when I was in my master's program, when I was going through, in P school,
Right.
um, I was like, I loved wellness, and I even did like one of my papers I had to write, and it actually was published in a online journal,
Great.
was on like complementary alternative therapies for migraines. And I always have loved wellness and that sort of thing, but you finish school, you need a job.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
so I worked about 5 years, first in as a nurse in the hospital, progressive care unit, and then the ICU. And then I worked for almost 6 years as an NP in the ICU. And
And that's
then
tough.
more.
That's stressful.
Yeah,
Very
yeah, it
stressful, acute
was.
stress and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we had such a great team. That I worked with transplant patients, so it's very rewarding, even though it was very stressful job. Yes,
Yeah.
just the hours, the what was going on day to day. But then really for I was moving, I knew I eventually, like, I needed more balance lifestyle, wise. I wanted to have kids eventually. So I thought, okay, well, and I moved back home here, and this is where I grew up, where I live now. And I started working in outpatient setting, working in a general practice setting. And I felt like it was a consistent theme. I would see women would come in, and they basically just didn't feel good in their body anymore. My body used to be like this, and now it's like this. And I don't know what's going on, and I don't like it. They would, a lot of times, look like, okay, I feel like my hormones are off. I want to get my hormones tested, which is what I would hear a lot of times. They were
Yeah.
having issues with their periods, fatigue, their hair thinning, anxiety, could be some gut issues as well, reflux, heartburn. Um,
I feel like they all go
but
together.
yeah, yeah,
We hear the
exactly.
same story. I mean, you and I
Mhm.
love functional medicine. So, yes.
Yes, yes. So, but we would, at that point, I had not found functional medicine, and I did everything I knew to do as far as
Right.
workup and
Right. On what we
trying to
learned.
find. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So,
just like,
and I guess I like explaining that to people, that we get taught when we're going through our training, and physicians do too, and PAs do too, how to look for disease,
right.
how to look for cancer, how to look for the big bad things, right, that are going to put you on meds, or God forbid, kill you, or, things like that. But, we would do a workup and, oh gosh, I don't know why I check vitamin levels sometimes, or hormones or things like that. Well, everything's normal as far as I can tell. And it was really out of the desire to help my patients. I intuitively knew there was something off in their body, because obviously, they're having all these symptoms, but I didn't have the training to understand what was going on and to get them feeling good. And that really led me to search for answers. And I wish, it's funny, I've said this, I wish that I could remember like the first piece of content, the first website or something that I found where I heard about functional medicine, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, why aren't we taught this? Why is this something I'm just finding out about now? And
I feel like it was almost like a mystery. Like I did a lot of integrative health, and I felt like the teams like work together when I was learning on the integrative health general side. And then I was just like, why are we not talking about this more often? Why is this not in why is this not in general conversation?
Exactly. Well, and I think there can be so adrenal fatigue, for example, I've heard other practitioners kind of say that a lot of your traditional physicians, your traditional medicine physicians don't recognize, they're like, oh, that's a voodoo medicine. Or, and I think the hard part too, if we look at the way the system is, right? Your insurance doesn't cover these. People would come in and want like vitamin D levels checked or something like that. And we check them. Well, my insurance didn't cover it. And now I have this bill, and all we checked was a vitamin D level, so.
It's like you have to do this roundabout just to have them. Oh yeah. It's a whole convo. Yeah. You have to change the whole way it is. It has to be written out so different. And it's frustrating because we're just trying to
help the patient,
right?
But your hands are tied. So, so that's kind of what led me to where I am now. So.
And now you're like kind of saying, okay, I have to. And then was there anything on your health side that was like, I need to change? Like, I mean, your mom, was there something that happened to you or in your like own nutrition or health stuff that was like, I've got to make a change?
I can look back. I really,
for me, I had like so much gut and health. Like that's why I went straight, transition. So I was wondering if you had anything like that.
Yeah. I've always been very like, I want to eat healthy, and what's that, let me read the stuff, I've always been kind of motivated in that way. And I feel like I'm blessed in that my mom, like I can remember my mom when I was a kid going, you haven't eaten enough protein today, so
so cute.
Yeah. So, I feel like we were generally kind of healthy growing up. Right. But thankfully, yes, I have not had any big scary things in my life that I was like, oh my gosh, I need to change this. But once I learned about it, I could look back and see where, gosh, I've had HPA dysfunction. My adrenals have been shot. I look back at my ICU days, especially
like, of course. I mean, just nursing in general, we're shot adrenal or stress in some manner. Yeah.
Yes. And then too, just, when I did want to have kids, like just wanting to be as healthy as I could, just since I was, going on that journey over age 35, and they call you geriatric pregnancy. And I had been, I'd had little things here and there in the past, like, oh, you could have, your borderline criteria for PCOS. And so just really wanting to approach, be as healthy as I could so that I could have kids.
And just had a different perspective. It just changed the way you thought about it. That's awesome. I mean, it's good that you've always kind of had that like going path. And then now that you're doing that for, yourself and your clients. Have you, would you like to share a story of anyone recent that you've helped out?
Yeah. So I feel like a lot of the women I encounter or that come to work with me, a lot of times they've been told that they, just take this medication, just that there's, they've gone to traditional medicine practitioner, doctor, or whatever. And they have these symptoms and they're like, they kind of just get dismissed, unfortunately. I think, and just, especially if you're a mom, like I have a client like that, developed hypothyroidism postpartum, well, you're a mom, new mom, and you have hypothyroidism. You're going to be tired, and there's nothing really we can do about
It's so
it.
unfortunate. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Or like a client yesterday, has been to a gastroenterologist, had colonoscopies, had CT scans, but no one's really addressed her. They've looked for cancer pretty much. They've looked for, big things with all those scans, but no one's really addressed her gut health and her digestion. And so we're starting to work there. But I have a client who, just, and I feel like a lot of the women they have a lot of demands on them that I work with. So this client I'm thinking of, she has her own interior design business. She has employees. It's a high stress job.
High
There's
achiever,
supply. Yeah.
overworked, exhausted,
Also a
workaholic.
mom. Yeah. Also a mom. The kid doing all the things. And it's funny when we work together, but like, that's not too much of an issue. Just my issues are like, I can't sleep and I'm stressed out and I think my hormones are off.
Oh, just
like,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you start
Yeah.
going to them like, what sleep? Do you guys understand how important just sleep is? And if we keep it, sometimes you're keeping it simple, right? But then they don't even think of that. You're like,
So we've worked on gut health with her, did gut testing. She had some underlying infections that we're treating. We removed food sensitivities, and that
Awesome.
alone just made such a big impact on removing things were causing inflammation in her body. And she's losing weight. She's sleeping better. She has more energy. We're working on managing the stress piece, because it's hard because she's in high demand, just because of her, what she does for work, her company, and then also her person, like trying to have a personal life too.
Yeah. Being a mom or whatever her life is. Yeah.
Yeah. But even just the changes she's had, we're still in the middle of her protocol, like treatment phase. But even just the changes that she's had and being able to identify what's going on and treat those things, remove the stuff that's causing problems, it's been great, because I guess that's my motivation. That's my drive is a lot of, again, the women I work with, they're making a big impact in their lives, whether it be their jobs or different things like that. And I want them to have the energy and feel great so they can make the big impact they want to. And not,
it's important. I mean,
not
women, we
burn
take on a
out.
lot, and we don't, and if like people aren't addressing the full picture, I mean, I don't know how you see it, but like you obviously probably see it similar in the sense of like, when I do see patients, and they come to me and be like, I'm not a quick fix, this is going to take 4 weeks, most probably up to 6 months. So understand, like, that you guys we're here I want to help you, you want to help them, and it's a process. We're not the quick pick, we're not the, it's almost like you tell people who are like, no, this can take time. I'm hoping that most of them are receptive by the time they come to see you.
Yes. And I think a lot of times and that's part of I explained that in the beginning, like and then that's how I have it packaged too, is like, we're working together for 4 months or we're working together for 8 months, depending on, so they have that expectation up front that we're, making the small, and we want to make sustainable changes. I don't want to just say, hey, here's your plan, totally change your life and do all these things.
Right. And
have fun.
I totally think that's so important, because I think that you were in ICU, right? And look how quick, it was like those quick acute stuff. And I did ER and it's like the acute like is necessary in medicine. And I'm here to kind of talk to people about just like that integrative chronic parts, and the chronic health issues that we're just not addressing, so they don't get acute.
Yes.
Or at least prevent a good portion of them, even though it takes time or it's work. I try to, and I know that you probably have to guide individuals in that direction of that. It does take time. It does take work.
Yes.
But that's okay.
Definitely.
Where you want to, they came to you because they want your help. They want to have more energy. They want to have a better life.
Well, and too, I feel like that's part of the integrative, functional approaches, that whole picture. So then we're looking at not only the lifestyle changes, but like your mindset in approaching that too, of like, okay, what, because I just in my regular practice settings, so, would see, as in general practice, or I worked in weight loss, it's people know the things to do, but it's actually doing them.
I think, yeah.
Um,
And the actionable steps, like it's
mhm.
quite fast. I mean, being that we've both been I mean, I still do in the traditional space and integrative space. It's like, it is quite a challenge. I don't know if you found it challenging. Now I kind of like have regrouped my feelings with it, that, there's going to be people I can help and those I can't help. But when
Mhm.
I tell them that, this is a little bit more work than today, and or this is a process, like they say that they know what to do. And then I'm like, all right, well, what would you like to do to change? And then I don't know how you approach it, or I'm like, this is your life, not mine. I want you to have a better life,
Yes. Yes.
Has that ever been, have you ever had any clients that don't follow your protocols?
So, well, I had a client that, when I was early on, I kind of, just learning how to help people best.
Oh, of
I
course.
would
Yeah.
start with, sometimes we would do testing and just do a consult, and I could give them like a plan of care. And I had a woman say, really, I wish I could just like take a pill and be all better. She just wasn't in the head. So, I mean,
Yeah.
she was honest too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not in the place where I'm like ready to do this work on myself.
Oh, I mean, I can totally relate to you on that.
Mhm.
I've had I mean, just in general, especially in the weight loss space too. Like it's like that you said you work on that. It's a challenge because someone's like, I do want to lose weight or do things, and then you tell them the protocol of functional medicine, where we're not even going the full thing, but just the conversation of the time
Mhm.
without discouraging them. Yeah, they're like, okay, can I just get like the injection? And you're like, no, that's not what
Yeah.
I no, we're not here for that. But if you'd like to
Yeah.
go to see another,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Well, and I feel like kind of, just from a business perspective, like niching down and helping, like I said, a lot of the women that I work with, I would call them, they're driven, they're motivated. And so I feel like a lot of times they're in that headspace of like, okay, I'm ready. I'm committed to
They're
focus on
committed to their
me.
work, they're committed to their life. So now it's them, they need to commit to their health and their
Yes.
overall. It's so important because I think and then also those, women that are driven and are doing things, they also don't always give themselves the space to take care of themselves.
Agreed. Agreed.
I think it's like taking
Yes.
care of this person, taking care of that, taking that. So I can
Yes.
imagine,
Mhm.
um, how that could be.
Yeah, we put ourselves last a lot of times. Our self-care last.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
It's definitely something where I emphasize a lot of that like mindfulness stuff. So it takes a village, or it takes time, these actionable steps like you're talking about, and especially in your protocols.
Mhm.
Um would you like to share a tip for the audience or those listening that you
Yeah.
use in your practice, or just something that you take in on that you do?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things,
Of
that can
course,
be
yeah.
effective. But honestly, someone else asked me this question recently too. And I think something that we're not good at, like culturally
Hmm.
too, is giving, when we're talking about self-care, right? And putting everybody else first. We're in fight or flight mode every day, right? We're constantly, even if we don't feel, I had a client say this, like, I don't feel stressed, like I don't feel anxious, this is just like my normal life. But your normal life is you wake up at 5, you don't stop till 9, like you're going all day, you're doing all the things, your work, your kids, da, 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 and you're not giving yourself time to get out of fight or flight and get into, parasympathetic versus sympathetic, but really making time every day to decompress and to de-stress, to restore and get out of fight or flight mode, get into rest and digest. And my favorite way personally in my body, which has been most effective, is breath work, and then accompanied with some meditation, some mindfulness, which I know is hard for, it was very hard for me to learn,
Oh,
when I
I talk about it a
first
lot. It's
started.
really complicated for most people. And then when I finally tell them, guess what? Did you know that like you could do meditation while you're walking, while you're in the
Mm,
shower, while you're, cooking your food. So I think that there's so many ways now. So now that you're a
Yes.
mom and soon to be, you probably, when you figured it out, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's what I feel like, I can physically feel in my body when I can do
Align.
some breath work. Yeah, I can feel my heart rate decrease. I can feel my blood. I can feel this like tightness in my chest release, when
Oh,
I
and
can.
especially you being a mom, and soon to be mom again, your breath
Yes.
work and your stretching and, whatever you can do to give
Yes.
yourself more open space.
Prepare.
Yeah, to prepare and stuff. I mean, that's beautiful. It's got to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've taken any yoga classes for this
So,
recently.
yeah, not any. I do stuff at home
Oh yeah, now
sometimes.
I mean
Yeah.
even online, yeah, of course.
Yes, yes, yes.
Something.
But the prenatal stuff, or
Yeah,
even just sometimes just do my own little practice myself, just
cool.
make, because
Yeah.
yeah, man, you
Is
just
there
get so
any?
tight and achy.
I know it does. You got to move a little bit. You got to do just
Yes.
some small movements there. Just
Oh
like,
my
and that
gosh.
itself is a tip. Like just some gentle movements for someone
Yes.
every day. Start
Yes.
breathing.
Huge, huge, huge. But yes, that really, I think it can be hard to, like I said, hard to learn for people to, I know myself when I was just, especially in higher stress situations, really hard for me to like kind of come down and to
Would you be
relax.
yeah, you'd be surprised as a nurse. We learn it. Like we know how to cope. We don't know how to like let go of that overall. But then once you start to have some sort of grasping of it's almost like to not do is to do.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
like
Yes.
for understanding it's okay where you're at.
Mhm.
I mean, I learned it out of necessity in the
Mhm.
beginning, well before the functional med. So that became a priority. And I bet, now that you probably love it too. So
Yes.
um
Yes.
how can those get a hold of you and they can reach you? What is your website, or how
Yeah.
can individuals get a hold of you and meet you?
Yeah, I'm just Lori Aikman. If they, probably Google search or whatever, but I'm Lori Aikman on Instagram. My website is just loriaikman.com.
Okay.
I also have like a, page on Facebook. Facebook
Awesome.
doesn't seem to be as
User friendly.
user friendly. Yes, on the business side of things. But and then
But
I'm
that's
at like
okay. You
on
got your
LinkedIn.
page. We can reach out to you. And you're
Yeah.
have any upcoming clients or events or anything coming up yet?
Not well, we're
Not
saying,
at this moment.
getting ready to, so I'm bringing on clients right now in, just my one-on-one clients.
Oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. So I'll have them reach
Um,
out to you. Yeah.
yeah, so that opportunity is there. It's probably, I don't know when this is going to go live. I've really, probably by only about a week and a half more. And then that kind of, I'm just, because I'm getting ready to have a baby, I'm not going to take any more one-on-one clients on until
Right.
the fall.
Yeah.
But
No, you're gonna take care of you. Gonna take care of
yes,
you.
yes,
And
but
we
I
will
will
align.
be offering kind of like a more DIY online
Awesome.
type program that people, that my clients get access to that,
Okay.
even my coaching clients. So that would be a way for them to start,
Perfect.
and start working on some lifestyle things. And then if they want to, work to kind of progress from that to more the one-on-one coaching, that'll open back up in the fall.
That's great.
Um,
That's really
once
awesome.
I'm once
I
I'm,
know. I'm like, well,
a
I'm
little more, a
very,
little postpartum, more
oh, it'll
postpartum.
all be great. I mean, you're gonna take care of your time and then you also still
Yes,
have time for the patients too. So I
exactly.
really appreciate you being on
Thank
and
you.
taking your time because you're, and there's many women that need to hear from you. And I hope that at least one is hearing you now.
Yes.
And more and more people find out about functional medicine and the importance of it,
Yes.
and then it becomes more of a conversation of just normalcy and not like a quack medicine of what some people might say. Or there's
I
just
think
so
we're
much.
transitioning that way. I think
I'm hoping. I mean,
eventually.
that's why I love individuals like yourself being on, being that it's just it's a conversation of there's so much research out there and it's there. I just think that there's the band-aid fix, which is it's there when it's needed, but there's also like let's look at the big picture.
Yes. Yes.
So
Really. Yeah. Figure out at the root what's going on. And like you
yeah.
said, fixing it before it's becoming a big problem where you need medication and
Right,
things
right.
like that.
And modifying it as needed. So, but I really appreciate you being on. So thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Lori.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
And thank you guys for joining in on the show today. And like I said, make sure you find a mindful way each and every day. Thanks again and have a wonderful evening.